Good evening. Welcome back to a special edition of Closing Arguments. I'm Vinnie Politan. This is Julie Grant. She's usually on every morning opening statements, but our paths are crossing here, so we've got one more hour at CrimeCon.
This is such a treat to be with you, Vinnie, and all the wonderful people who've gathered here to see your show live. This is so much fun. It is a blast.
Big, big crowd. Now, one of the biggest stories that we've covered since the relaunch of Court TV was a story of a young woman named Gabby Petito, and everyone got to know her, everyone got to love her, and everyone's heart broke at the same time when we found out what happened to her.
Right.
And you imagine, for the folks who follow true crime, how they got so invested in all this and how they feel. Then you take it up around 10 billion notches for Gabby's family and the journey that they had to go through to find out what happened to their daughter. And joining us right now, Gabby's parents all are joining us here tonight at CrimeCon. We've got Tara Petito, Joseph Petito, Jim Schmidt, Nicole Schmidt. Thank you all for being here. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all together. First question. What, from your perspective, having gone through this horrendous journey, here we are on this end of it, and every time I speak with you, your eyes are bright. You're sad, but there's a brightness. It's like what has happened? What has happened in this journey that has landed you where you are now and where you are with all of these folks? How would you describe that?
Inspiring to see all these people here at CrimeCon, first of all, but just in general, when we help people or we feel like we're helping people, that keeps us going. It's Gabby's light shining through us, and it just makes us want to keep going and helping and changing this world.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our second year at CrimeCon. Last year, we didn't know what to expect when we came here. We were a little hesitant about coming here. And then when we got here, and we realized, you know, what this was really about, how it is victim focused, and how compassionate and supportive everybody was. But on top of that, there are so many people that come here looking for help, looking for answers. People that were in our situation that didn't get the coverage that Gabby got. They're looking to help elevate their voice, helping to find their missing, helping to find out who murdered their loved ones. And for us, if we can be a small piece of helping elevate that voice, it's really what keeps us going.
I'll kind of echo what Jim said. You know, this is a great event that shows nothing but support and an amazing oversharing of stories and whatnot, which is what everybody needs. When you have someone missing or you need justice, that's what they're asking for, and that's what everybody here helps provide, and that's just awesome to see.
We would do anything to bring Gabby back, but that's obviously not possible. So we have a choice. We could do nothing, or we could use her voice, her platform, and try to change the lives of others, help others, make sure this story does not happen again. That's what we would love to do.
And we commend you for doing that, you know, because it's one thing to talk about it or wish for it, but you all have made it your mission in Gabby's name to do that great work and to let other folks know that they aren't alone. And, you know, Vinnie and I know this from having been prosecutors, and I say it all the time on my show, Vinnie, I know you do on your show as well. Domestic violence is a pervasive problem that affects us all. If we haven't personally experienced it, we know someone close to us who has. Would you speak to that, please? Because it's still one of those subjects that's tough to talk about. And I think so many people watching live in person here and at home on television would appreciate just knowing how many people you've come into contact with who've experienced the same thing.
I think that's important. What you said is it does affect everybody, and nobody's immune from it. The people that think they're not affected by it because it hasn't happened to someone even they know is wrong, because it affects our communities, our cities, our states, and our whole country, and it eventually affects the world. It's just a ripple effect, and we all need to work together to make changes.
Let me ask you this. For you all, in the beginning, when you first have an idea that something is really wrong, What is that moment like for you? And what is that moment like for you when the public attention then turns to you?
Wow. I mean, the attention, so when you have someone missing, you want everyone to help, right? And that's what we needed. So we got that. But then, you know, seeing what I get to see now, I see so many stories don't get that notoriety or don't get that level of attention. And it breaks our heart. Like, we want everybody's story to be elevated. And so we try to do that. We try to lead by example. We try and share stories, especially people that don't look like us. You know what I mean? And
let me ask you this, though, and let's talk about that. Because, you know, we're in the media. We cover these stories. When you came out, like, your voices were powerful. Like, the emotion that I saw and what I heard, I think was a big part of what grabbed the public's attention. Then obviously Gabby's videos and seeing her and not understanding what happened. But I think it was you speaking up did a lot to do that. And did you consciously do that, or was that just natural?
So I was actually asked not to say something during a conference, but not for any particular reason that we wanted to keep it centric to Gabby and that we found her and stuff. But I had seen someone had tagged me in a Joy Reid, I guess, snippet of a show that she had when the Gwen Ifill, the white woman missing syndrome and all this other stuff. And my first reaction was like, you know, what's going on here? You know, like. But then we started to look into it, and she's right. There's a hierarchy when it comes to missing people. Don't shoot the messenger. You know what I mean? We noticed it even on our own shares. You know, when it comes to missing people, children 12 or under will always get shared. Regardless of the color, will pretty much get shared. And then it's white women. And then it'd be women of color, and then it'd be men. Like, when you're a man, if you're over the age of 18 and a man, no one's gonna share you. Like, that's. So when you see stories like a Daniel Robinson, Sebastian Rogers, Riley Strain come out, I mean, those are great stories because the parents are really killing themselves to get those stories out there. So they commend, you know, what they're doing, you know, but there's a hierarchy, and we're going to lead by example to share the stories of people that don't look like us and the stories they hit home to help elevate their, you know, and make sure they're found safe just the same.
In terms of legal changes that you may want to see, I wanted to ask you all about something that some jurisdictions have, many do not, and that is lethality assessments, where officers are put through training and they're given certain questions when they respond to a call to see. Essentially, a lethality assessment allows you to kind of take the temperature of the situation to see if somebody may be in danger. There's certain questions asked. I'm curious, has this been something that in all of the work you've been doing, have you been working on prompting legal change to get more training on that for officers?
Absolutely. Lethality assessment, you know, there's those questions on that questionnaire for them. It's not just about the questions that are on there. The whole part of that program is the training that goes along with it. It's that trauma-informed approach. They have to ask certain questions, but it's a matter of how you ask them in a non-judgmental way so that you're empathetic, you're listening, you're truly hearing what they're saying, and at the same time, you're using your police officer brain to then make the determination, yeah, they're in a dangerous situation. And from there, yeah, you meet this, you're meeting these benchmarks. And then having them work with their local state certified agencies, their local domestic violence agencies, and getting them to the services they need at a crucial moment. They might not go at that moment, but at least they know that they're there. And it starts that process for safety planning, and it's huge.
Now, the foundation is GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. So before we go to the break, we have like a minute before the break. We have commercials. Okay. Can people help? What can people do? Are you raising money? Are you raising awareness? What's going on over there?
All of it, yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, we raise money. We try to help smaller organizations out there that nobody knows about. And we are working on creating programs that are really tangible for schools. We want to get an education program for the youth. And we're developing a training program for first responders because they don't learn about domestic violence.
Wednesday, we were just on a virtual conference. It was over 121 people in a virtual conference talking about to advocates on how to engage your first responders, why they need the training. There's 1.5 million plus first responders in this country that receive very little to no domestic violence training or fire and EMS personnel. So telling them how to engage, that's one program. Getting programs in schools, and then continuing to elevate the voices of the people that are missing and trying to get them found.
GabbyPetitoFoundation.org. You're staying with us. One more segment, okay? We've got more to get to. Don't go anywhere. We are live in Nashville, Tennessee, CrimeCon 2024. Right here, your front row seat to CrimeCon. In 2011, Karen Swift returned home from a Halloween party
And was never seen alive again.
Now, her estranged husband faces trial for her murder.
The Karen Swift murder trial, weekday mornings, only on Court TV. Next week.
Join us each morning to get trial ready for the day's proceeding. Plus, deeper dives into true crime stories with our daily spotlight.
Opening statements with Julie Grant. Mornings starting at 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but it rained all afternoon yesterday.
Oh my God! The 10 is just coming in on me. The wind is so bad.
I get that so much.
Welcome back. We're live at CrimeCon 2024, and we're still in a verdict watching the Chad Daybell death penalty verdict, so we'll bring that to you when and if it happens tonight. But right now we're talking about Gabby Petito, and just seeing her there again reminds me of what drew our attention to the story, because what I saw was a young woman, I have young children, going out on an adventure of a lifetime. Right, and doing it publicly, like we do, like we're very public, right, Julie? And she was doing it publicly on YouTube, trying to live amazing moments.
She was living her best life. I mean, really, and people were following her adventures.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
and then we learned about him.
Was doing some cool things, but
what happened?
Who she was with, I know.
And still with us.
So dreadful.
Yeah. Gabby's parents, all 4 are here, still with us.
Boy, was she lucky to have all of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were lucky to have her, to be honest.
Ask her at certain points, she might not agree with you. But
No, I think she would. I think she's so proud of all of you and everything you're doing now.
So when you see the video, I know it breaks you, right? A little bit? A lot bit?
When I see her and hear her voice.
Her voice.
It's hard.
I cry a lot more now. Like, it's really bad. I sent Nikki and Tara a song, like a step-parent song or whatever it was. And I heard it, and I just started bawling, and then I brought it in, and I was like, Tara, you're going to hate me. I sent it to her, and then she sent it to Nikki.
And then I sent it to my mother. And my mother's like, why? Why would you do this? I'm like,
so step-parents are their parents. You know, I hate using the word step-parent.
Yeah, there really is none. There's none.
No, there aren't.
She had 4 parents.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, because we have so many true crime people here and watching. When you're in that moment where your child is missing, what do you want a stranger to approach you? Do you not want a stranger to approach you? What is that like? And even from my perspective, I have a hard time with that. Like, do I want to approach them? Do they want to, invading their space?
When someone's missing?
When your child's missing. Your child's missing and it's you, and you are just somewhere, but someone knows that you're the parent of the missing child. Does it help if they approach you and say, our thoughts are with you? Or is it better to keep space?
No, it helps. I mean, to me, I'll give my opinion. I'm not going to speak for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, when it's tangible help too, and they're like, "What can I do?" And then they're sharing and they're helping get the word out there. That's important to the parents.
Yeah, it shows that people care, that they're empathetic. And oftentimes, people don't know what to say in that.
So what do we say?
I can tell you that we're here for you. We support you. Whatever we can do for you, we will do. Give us the word. you know, and we're here, you know. Try to like balance that fine line of not overstepping, but trying to be supportive, and really that goes a long way. It really does.
Exactly what Jim just said. The support and the love, it goes a long way. When Gabby was missing, it gave us a lot of hope that maybe we would find her, even though truly deep in our hearts we kind of knew that something bad happened.
Also being careful and not trusting everybody.
Yes.
You know,
You gotta learn.
There's some bad people out there that want to harm you in some way.
You know what gets me is the word closure. Like when people say, and I understand where they mean by it. I'll never say it externally, but I'll say it here. There's no closure in the loss of a missing child. It's the little things, like you had a great day, you want to talk to your kids about it, but there's one you can't talk to and that hurts. You know, there's things like that. There's never closure on that, but I know what people mean by it. But internally, I'm like, no, all it allowed me to do when she was found was start the grieving process properly, is what that was.
I sort of refer to it, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, it's not closure, but it's turning one page.
Yeah, that would be more effective in terms of that.
Another chapter.
That's what
We're 3 years now since we found her. And we've been searching for people that have been in similar situations to come out and say to us, hey, this happened to our family 20 years ago. Like, we're healed. Nobody can say that because everybody's different. And the grieving never stops. You just learn how to handle it differently.
There's a lot of that here at CrimeCon, too. You get people with these old cases, and it's still relevant today.
Yeah. So what I want to do now is Matt Johnson is with, and I know you've been working and speaking with this group, with Darlene Gomez, attorney for the murdered and missing Indigenous women and relatives. Matt, over to you.
Yeah, Vinny, we're still in front of the live studio audience here in front of CrimeCon Nashville 2024. However, hi, everybody. And Darlene is here and just finished a panel with the Petitos, and it really goes to the heart of their foundation of helping others and helping others outside of your community if there's a missing person. That's the work that you do. And we're talking about work of Indigenous people that are missing or murdered and the unsolved crimes. Talk to me about that and how it's a problem coast to coast.
So it's not just a problem, it's a crisis. It's a genocide of Indigenous people all over the United States. The Bureau of Indian Affairs estimates that there's about 6,000 missing and murdered Indigenous women.
Including, who's in front of you? What picture are you holding right now?
This is my friend Melissa Ann Montoya. She's been missing for 23 years from the Hickory Apache Nation in Dulce, New Mexico. So this is why I'm here today.
Okay, so at the heart of the Petito Foundation and a lot of people the reason why we're here is to help solve crimes, right? So how can people help and help with the cause?
Most definitely, if you see family members who have missing on Facebook, TikTok, and social media, please share it. Reach out to your congressman and make sure they enact laws that protect Indigenous people and they follow through with money. All
right, well, you touch all of our hearts for the work that you do. Please keep it up. Thank you so much and for the awareness. And we'll, please, if anyone has any information, please call authorities there in New Mexico or the FBI or your local police. Vinny, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Matt.
That's really great information. Darlene Gomez, a very knowledgeable attorney, and that's exactly what we need, dedicated advocates. She's an advocate, and the Schmitz and the Petitos are advocates in Gabby's name. And when we think about domestic violence, something that always frightened me the most about these cases when I was a prosecutor is that they're not only crimes of violence, which is scary in and of itself, but they're crimes of secrecy. You know, it's not out in the open, it's kept hidden. What advice do you have for anyone who might be going through it right now, or anybody at home watching thinking, I think I might have a friend or a loved one who may be experiencing something? What would you say to them, please? Your best advice.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
There is help out there. There are resources, and I can hold your hand and help you get there if you need. I'll call the hotline with you if you need me to. I'll reach out to a victim advocate in your state and try to get as much help as possible. And just do not judge. You know, you never know when it could happen to you and the situation. Just do not judge. Just be there to hold their hand.
Right. Always believe a victim.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Can we give the phone number?
Sure, go ahead.
So the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE. All right. Listen, sometimes you might get a busy signal, you know, but because they're not going to drop a call. If you got them on the line, they're going to keep you on the line till they know that you're done with that conversation the right way. So just keep calling, go online. There's live chats and stuff like that. But that's the best place to start, which is the big issue. Most people don't know where to go when you're in a domestic violence situation, and that is the best entry point that you can get.
And we need to keep talking about it as a society because there is a lot of silence, a stigma around it. So let's keep sharing our stories, keep talking to survivors, and it gives other people hope.
Start shaming the abuser, not the victim.
Not the victim.
100%.
All right, Julie, I'm going to do something right now. Prepare you, all right? These are all New Yorkers, right? Everyone's New Yorker?
Yeah.
All right, so be straight with us. We're the media. What are we doing wrong?
Okay, so...
I'll let Joe take this.
I told you. You're ready.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's not what you're doing wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Better.
Man, I'm sorry.
No.
All right, I apologize. I'm going to say this.
Bring it.
Go it.
So a lot of the times you do the stories for clicks, and I understand why, and because those are the hot topics and stuff like that. But there's so many stories that are the same when people that don't look like us. If you share those stories, you're going to start seeing that impact on other communities, and that's going to make a difference later on. So the more you share, you show that we're a whole, I think that would be better off. That's my opinion. And maybe fact check a little bit.
Okay.
Victim focus.
Yes.
Okay.
Victim focus. Remember, at the other side of that story, there is a family.
That's right.
Real people.
It's real people. You know, it's not something made up. They're real people.
And
so victim focus.
Always put the phone numbers out for the suicide hotline, the domestic violence hotline. That way, if someone's in that situation and they know where to call.
Put the resources out
Yeah, the
there.
resources, yeah.
Okay, I have to cut you off because they would go after us the whole night. No. Thank you so much for all coming together and being here with us and sharing your story, your insight, and the awareness that folks at home need, we need, and I think all of us need. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right.